Okay, so a while back I bought a in hive feeder. Um, Holds 1 gallon of syrup. I've used it on a 10 frame, and because of the size of it, it does take up quite a bit of space. But with a 10 frame, it's not so bad. Um, However, I did also try to use this in a 5 frame nuke, and it just took up way too much space. And I lost a lot of bees. These little inserts, they climb down inside there. They climb down inside there to get to the syrup. Well, I would end up with half of this insert full of dead, drowned bees. And I know probably wasn't a terribly large amount of bees, but way more bees than I care to lose. Especially when I'm trying to feed them. So I went and bought some of these feeders here. Um, these feeders would go on top of the migratory lid of the 5 frame, which with the cover would prevent other bees from getting in. However, if it gets low on sugar syrup, I would be a little nervous about the wind blowing it around, leaving an exposed hive with the hole in the top of it. So I took it upon myself to build this feeder box, which with the hole here, I made the hole to where it was slightly smaller than the hole in this feeder. Put the feeder in inside the box. I put bracings on the front and on the side so it would fit snug down on top of this 5 frame nuke, so I could take the migratory lid off, set this feeder box on top of the hive full of sugar syrup, which I'm just feeding a 1-to-1. I'm only feeding these guys for the most part right now, because I mean we got a lot of nectar running, we got a lot of flowers blooming, Yopons blooming, the maples blooming, verbena, rosemary is going crazy. The bees love that. Blueberry bush is starting to flower, and they're starting to buzz on that quite a bit. Also, plum tree I got planted here, they're starting to snack on that. The dewberries, they're really enjoying that. So I'm not really needing to feed them syrup too much right now, but I'm doing so because they are my first swarm catch, and their numbers are a little low. And I'm also trying to get them comfortable with their new home. They seem to be doing pretty good. I did pull a brood frame from a pre-existing hive to give them something to work with the hopes also it would influence them to do a little work, stay in the hive, do some work in the hive, possibly building up some comb, and then bringing in some pollen and some nectar. But I am gonna put the feed box on the top of that so they won't have to wrestle as much with these guys who are a lot stronger than these guys are. Just into the point where they have filled up 5 frames of pollen, nectar, brood. When they are a solid 5 frame, then I'll move them to one of these 10 frames with a possible divider board to give them 8 frames to work with. And then I have already the feeder boxes for the 10 frames here in my shed. At that point, then I would put one of those on and let them rock and roll, with the hopes of catching a replacement swarm to go in that 5 frame. I am hoping that by the end of summer I will be back to all 4 of the 10 frames filled up with bees, between splits, catching swarms, and I'm trying to do the best I can to not have to buy any bees this year. Last year I had to buy 2. By the end of the year, I only had the 1 left. But that's okay, because they are very strong. They are not putting up with much. So I am going to put this feeder on here with the hopes that they will feed and get stronger, get a little bigger, self-sustaining. So anyways, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope y'all got something out of it. Anybody who's a beginner, I'm only on my 2nd year. I still consider myself a beginner, and probably will do so for the next few years. But this is just the design I've seen other people online using, something similar to it. I've made my own little changes here and there. If you like it, like the video, subscribe, and y'all just keep being. Bye bye.